Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 98 of the Seezus Show. Hope you guys are having a very, very splendid day because me and my co-host Trader XXIV are going to deliver some great content to you guys. So before we get into today's hottest topics, just make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media, all streaming platforms at the Seezus Show. Obviously, my handle Sir Seezus and Trey Days. Handle or Trey rather. His handle is Trader XXIV. Subscribe, rate, comment, like, share. Do whatever you have to do to keep this podcast pushing forward and let's just grow organically. But before we get into today's hottest topics, I just want to rehash on the previous episode, as always. So on episode 97 of the Seezus Show, which was released last week, we kind of broke down the Russell Westbrook and John Wall breakdown, our expectations on both of them. Kyrie not speaking to the media, PG's comments with Doc Rivers, and ultimately not being utilized right, the NBA and marijuana, and new protocol test for this upcoming season. So a lot has moved around since then. So I'm just ready to get into today's hottest topic. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my boy, for my co-host, that mother Trade Day XXIV baby.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Trey Day all day. Happy holidays. Happy whatever you want to be happy about. I'm glad you're happy. I'm glad you're here rocking with us, man. It feels good over here on the East Coast, but I know it never rains in Southern California. What's good with you, bro?
Not much, man. Like I said, it's this is probably the earliest that we recorded a podcast since I've been here. So
Yeah, we grinding.
I'm already up. I'm already energized. I feel really good. I'm actually having a flight first thing in the morning, like around 11:30 in the morning to go back to the East Coast. So I'll be back there for about 2 weeks. So I'm excited for that. So today I got to just do a little bit of some last minute things, go get a cut, do some laundry, pack my bag, X, Y, and Z, clean up the apartment, all that stuff. So,
You bring your camera?
uh, yeah, I'm bringing everything with me. I got my camera
I,
bag actually to the right of me. So,
I got an idea. So let's bring the pod equipment. We might have something special. I got an idea, but yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have everything with me on the go. So, the
It's
best
lit.
ability is availability, right?
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, let's go ahead and get into the hottest topic. So obviously a lot of traction has happened,
Yeah.
and just to rehash with the audience and what I told them before, on episode 97, we kind of talked about that John Wall and Russell Westbrook deal, our thoughts on and whatnot. Kyrie not speaking to the media. What was that nickname that you have for Paul George again?
Chatty Patty, Paul George,
Chatty
please,
Patty. Talk about
please
Chatty
don't fight me,
Patty.
bro. Don't
With his
fight me. It's all
interview.
love.
Yeah, Chatty Patty in his interview on all the smoke, the NBA and marijuana, and then the new protocol. So it's always funny around this time of year where just a lot of traction happens, right? So the first thing that kind of stuck out to me was Giannis Antetokounmpo because we literally been talking about this guy all season long. I remember back in Richmond, we were like, "Yo, it would be such a good idea for the Warriors to try to,
To
get
go
their
get him.
pick and try to get him, or Miami doing this and this and that. Well, that ship has sailed. My boy Giannis Antetokounmpo just signed a supermax deal, full 5-year, $228 million contract.
Yeah, big bang,
So he secured the bag.
big bang.
He secured the bag a lot. Part of me is shocked, right? And then part of me is not shocked. So I'm shocked because first and foremost with Giannis, he was kind of holding off on this situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he could have signed it a while ago. So my whole thought process behind everything is like, when I think of Giannis, obviously he's not on LeBron or KD's level yet, but if you look at the trajectory, all the signs point to him being in that stratosphere when it's all said and done.
Okay.
So with me, it's like you've won your 2 MVPs, you won your Defensive Player of the Year. You're kind of like in that old sense of LeBron James where he was first in Cleveland. Obviously, LeBron took his team to the finals back in '07, which was a miracle. I still don't know how he did that. But other than that, he always came up short. So the media kind of got to him and it's just like, yo, like we know what you can do individually. Now it's time to ring. Now it's time to stack up and go get those championships. So I thought with Giannis, I thought the smart thing for him to do was to assess the situation. Obviously, the Bogdan trade fell through, but they were able to be aggressive and go get Drew Holiday as well too, because it seemed like they just needed that one certified closer. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought he was just going to let the season pan out and kind of really see how far they get, how the chemistry works, what adjustments are made, and you know if they let's say got to the finals, obviously you resign, or if you get even close and you just lose to some steep competition, then you kind of figure things out from there. So I thought he was just going to be smart about that situation and kind of just see what has happened, but this kind of changes some things around, and then part of me is not really the other half of me is not really
Sold
thrown
on it.
off by because of his background. He's not your traditional African American who's from the United States. His
Yeah,
experience is a lot different.
yeah,
Their struggles a lot different as well too. So with him, he's like, yo, I grew up with these amount of brothers. We only had one bedroom. We're all like together. So for me to come from this environment to this environment, like my standard of living is fine,
yeah.
and he's kind of betting on himself in another sense where it's like, I know what I'm capable of. You just give me this piece and that piece, then I can go out and win a championship. And you can kind of see within the past week with the media availability, you're just kind of getting annoyed with everything, right? So Bucks fans, everybody in Milwaukee, you guys are secured for the next 4 years, and obviously in his fifth year he can opt out. So this isn't too bad, to be real with you, because he's only 26 years old, right? So
Yeah.
after 4 years, he's gonna be what, 30, 31 years old. So at that
31.
point, I'm thinking, obviously, when I think of Giannis, I think of pure dominance, right? I think of Shaq from Orlando days, right? So I
Yeah.
feel like by the time his fourth year, he's 30, 31 years old. I feel like the game would have slowed down for him. I feel like he'll develop a better jump shot, and he's really going to operate inside out and just be more efficient. So by then, I feel like he will be a full, complete player, and like I said, he'll just now be in his prime, to be real with you, because they say you're in your prime starting at the age of 28. So by then, what I'm saying, if
Interesting.
he hasn't won, maybe he can potentially team up with a player like Luka Doncic or a young and upcoming player or something like that. But what are your thoughts on Giannis resigning and getting that check?
I think it speaks directly to Giannis right now. I mean, in his background, for one, it's like we had to get it out the mud, off the muscle from the beginning. So that kind of vibe, that mentality, and him still being quote unquote young and thinking he can do anything and everything, which is an amazing ability to have. Something that we all want to have. That's the mindset, right? Um,
Mm,
but in the same vein, we think about how realistic it can be from an NBA standpoint. Right. It's like,
yeah.
even like the best player. And I don't think he's on the same trajectory as LeBron, but he is in a lane that is comparable to in this day and age. Right.
Mm.
So it's like, we haven't seen anything like this, yada, yada, like that. Does he have vast amounts of his games that can improve? Yes. But Giannis is like, are we going to get it done with this team? So they're building around him. They sold him. I think he's super comfortable there because it's where he's known in the league. And it's like,
Mm.
yo, I might as well stay here, get this bag. I don't have to uproot. I'm here. I'm comfortable. Let's keep it going. When in the same token, we thought maybe Toronto. We thought maybe Golden State. But as you age, as you learn, as you keep talking to OGs, as you become the older statesman, and NBA is a young man's league. They call it a rap game, a young man's game. NBA is a young man's league as well. As you become the elder statesman, you're gonna realize, this is kind of what I want to be. Gonna start thinking about stuff outside of basketball. Because no matter who you are, what you are, as you grow, as you age, you become more than one dimensional. The physical is one thing, but then the metaphysical, the spiritual, everything in that vein, it gets bigger, right? It gets bigger, and you start looking at something like, yo, I could probably. make a little bit more money here outside of basketball, and I like what was going on over here. Stand a third, so all those things come down to Hatch. I think Milwaukee did a really good attempt to build around him this offseason. We'll see what happens. But you still have teams that have his number, have a game plan specifically for him, like the Heat, like new teams over there. I mean, I'm not saying Toronto's going to be everything that they have been, but it's a team that they defend and guard well. You have the Brooklyn Nets, where he's going to have to go out and possibly guard a KD on the perimeter during the night, and Giannis is a good defender. But I think you put more of the weight on yourself. Pick up the bag, get paid, young man, get paid. But um, time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah. um, we're gonna see. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, looking at the past two seasons and the talent that they had, obviously the East has gotten even more stronger as far as the top tier teams there. There's no doubt in my mind where on a yearly basis, if everyone's fully healthy, especially him, they don't
Hmm.
finish top one or top two in the East. But like you said, these teams kind of know the blueprint to quote unquote stop Giannis, and they have the personnel to stop
Yeah,
Giannis as well too. So if he doesn't
thank
improve
you.
his game, then
It's gonna
they're
be a
going to
long
have a
5 years,
lot of second round exits, conference finals exits as well too. So he got to
and it could
he
hurt
got
his money.
to he got to raise his game to another level, because even with these two games I've seen in the preseason against Dallas, it pretty much still looks the same. I mean, I kind of slightly saw him in the post a little bit more, but nothing really has changed in my opinion, on if he's added to his game. I know it's been a fast turnaround, so there's not much to add, but at the end of the day, there's 24 hours in a day. You can take advantage of that time. But yeah, shout out to him. Loyalty is
Mhm.
everything. So when you think of him now, you're thinking of like a Damian Lillard, right? You're thinking about
Yeah,
Jason Tatum, signing that extension, or Donovan Mitchell signing that extension as well too. So
the same man.
I respect that. We're gonna see what's gonna happen from that situation. But right now, I don't even have him as a top two team in the East. I still like Miami over them. I still like the Brooklyn Nets over them, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And
I
even with
told
the
Giannis.
Philadelphia 76ers, I like them. What were you saying?
I told Giannis.
I mean, you can damn near just say 7 foot.
Okay. I didn't
Yeah, he's like
realize
6'10", 6'11".
they're saying that of course Jason Tatum 2 inches whatever, but they're saying that Bam's 6'9", I guess 6'9", 6'10",
Mm-hmm.
but his athleticism, I guess, goes the extra mile to make him damn near a footer. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just like his presence in a way.
Yeah.
So when I think about that, I'm thinking about that Heat team is like, that's some problems because Bam's not losing a step, and you pack line that, you have him, guarding some Giannis. You have people like Jimmy that don't care who they guard. It could be the
Yeah.
shortest person or it could be the tallest person. It's just, it's one-on-one basketball, you know what I'm saying? So it's stuff I think about like that. It's more than just on paper stuff. It's like, you know, these guys make a difference and it's just the grit. So we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So congrats, Giannis, to you and your
Mm-hmm.
family. Generational wealth is what we teach. So secure
Mm-hmm.
that bag, because you're gonna get another one in a couple of years if if
Hopefully.
if everything stays the way it's supposed to stay. So shout out to you. The next up I want to talk about, before we get into this new look Nets team, we gotta circle back and go to Kyrie Irving. Obviously, last week,
Mm-hmm.
he was catching a lot of slack for avoiding the media, and obviously he came out with a statement, and basically he had a campaign to, have a media blackout for the entire of the season. Well, he didn't technically give us additional context on exactly when and how long this is going to go about. And obviously, last week when we were talking about it, we were like, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back to the media if they start, taking away
Tapping
from his pay.
pockets.
So I think they fined him 25K, the Nets 25K, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's in your contract, right? So you can only have done that, but for so long. So my whole
Yeah.
thing was like, and what we talked about last week, I'm like, yo, I'm trolling if I'm Kyrie, you know what I'm saying? If I
Yeah.
have to. But at the end of the day, he ended up coming back. He had a very, very nice interview for about 17 minutes that I watched the entirety of. And, it seems to me, he just wanted to make a message and let it be known, like, when I come here, we're literally just talking strictly basketball, and that's it. So I respect it. So one of the quotes he had here is really just how about I felt about the mistreatment of certain artists when we get to a certain platform of when we make decisions within our lives to have full control and ownership. We want to perform in a secure and protected space, he said. So I understand where he's coming from that, but at the same time, it's like just looking at it, like all this could have kind of been avoided, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're going to ask you questions, but you as an individual have the decision to not answer that question, say next question, and literally just keep it about basketball. But I kind of see where he got from, and I'm excited that he's back in the media because, like I said last week, he's one of the most. Oh shoot! Someone only wake
Mhm.
up. He has one of the
Ah,
the,
okay,
the
okay.
brightest minds in the NBA. So I'm happy he's back. But what are your thoughts on him? Finally being available to the media.
Um, I've learned more and more about Kyrie each day, every time he talks. So, um, I think it's one of those things where it's like you feel out how much you can in a way get away with the guardians that be the parameters that be. So he's like testing it out, testing it out, testing it out, and it's in a way showing that, hey, yeah, this you can express yourself in different ways, but at the same time you're still within this fence of a contract of this league, how stuff's supposed to get done. So the league, tapped him on the wrist, like, yo, nope. And he, finding more ways to effectively be himself. Um, that's something I would expect Kyrie to do. And I'm not saying that in a malicious way. It's just like, yo, like he's pushing the envelope. He's a different kind of thinker, and I understand that. I respect that. But it's a give and take. It's a give and take thing. Like even in negotiation, the APA is a give and take thing. So I think Kyrie being as creative as he is, maybe we'll see this turn into something a little bit different. And maybe it'll also, like you were saying, create a platform for him to not be portrayed super, super crazy in the media. Maybe it's a first step in the chess game. Maybe it's the
Yeah,
first step in the chess game. So it's like, look, this Brooklyn media, this league media, I did this so I can get you guys' attention. The stuff I talk about is gonna be basketball. We're gonna love it, whatever like that. Everything else is gonna be my IP, my creative IP outside of that. But when I come here, it's basketball. You have a basketball question, you ask me about that. Please don't ask me about, when I posted about going on a walk on Instagram or when I'm like, I feel like he was kind of trolling when he went on that live. He's like, I feel like 8 posts up the game, and Diddy like, I ain't feeling that. Like, that was hilarious.
he
But
said, "We'll see."
you know, it's also within a vein of like, if you're taking this super seriously, you're sadly mistaken, and that's what the media sometimes does. And not on the media because we're media in a certain way, but it's one of those things where you put it out, you have to be conscious of what you put out because the thing can take off, and it's a life of its own once it's written down on wax.
Yeah, people be reaching for sure in the media, so I can understand where he's coming from and your thought process behind everything as well too. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's written contract. You just get it
Mm-hmm.
done. And like you said, you're. It's not like it's not like you're an average NBA player. You're one of the most well-known players, not just in the United States, but you're a global icon now. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? With the Nike projections, being in the finals multiple years, and just known for his pure creativity when he steps on the floor. So just utilize your platform to an advantage, and we'll see what happens from there. So continuing on, within the Brooklyn Nets realm of things as well too, my boy Kevin Durant finally came back after 18 months. God damn,
Yeah,
has it really been 18 months? Like,
it's been damn near 2 years.
yeah, man, and it looked like he really didn't miss a step, man. They went up against the Washington Wizards. Obviously, they were without the services of Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal and David Bertans,
Mm-hmm.
just to name a few. But KD played about 24 minutes. He had 15 points, was 5 of 12 from the field, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers. Um, so he looked pretty good, honestly. Like I said, it looked like he didn't really lose a step. Um, his first 2 points to the basket was a nice little backdoor cut, and he just dunked it with two hands. So he looked pretty good. And honestly, he looked like he was just anxious to get out there. He was
Yeah,
picking and choosing his spots. Obviously, you can tell it's been a while, and you really can't simulate what's going on when you're just scrimmaging or just going up against your team. So for him to go up against a new set of individuals after 18 months speaks high volume. And it was just excited. It was just exciting seeing him back out there. There was one key play in the second half where he has his little clear wiggle when he goes from right to left and tries to slash to the basket. It looked amazing. The only thing I'm really concerned about is if he can stay healthy, right?
yeah,
What is his defense going to look like when you're going up against top tier talent, right?
yeah,
And obviously, with him moving to the four, it's going to be very interesting because he's going to serve more of that rim protection type of situation as well, too. But it was great to see KD back. And yeah, he basically picked up from where he left off as well too. But just focusing just on Kevin Durant, what were your thoughts on his preseason debut?
he looked really, really good. Luz did very, very well. I just think it's just good to see him back out there. You know what I'm saying? Like we haven't seen again like in 2 years darn there. So uh, I'm just praying for his health. My biggest thing with that, you know. So that's all I got for him. I'm glad he looks good. Praying for his health, and hopefully the Brooklyn Nets are a really good and exciting team this year.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. Now sticking with the Brooklyn Nets, man. So obviously, what's his name? Levert, has like a knee contusion, so he sat out as well too. But the starting five that the Brooklyn Nets went with was Kyrie at the one, Joe Harris at the two, Spencer Dinwiddie at the three, Durant at the four, and DeAndre Jordan at the five. I like this lineup. I would probably just tweak it slightly, and I would have instead of Dinwiddie, I would flop him or switch him rather with Karis LeVert, and then I would want to have Spencer Dinwiddie kind of be like that Manu Ginobili, kind of be like that James Harden, having that 6-man role as well too. Because at the end of the day, if you have Dinwiddie with LeVert and Kyrie and Katie on the floor, to me that's a little redundant, and there's not that much balls to go around. Pause. So I like what I saw, man, because from an offensive standpoint, and just seeing Kyrie back out there as well too. I think he only missed like 2 shots, but Kyrie looked like he you could tell he was mad with the media. You can tell he was itching just to get back on the floor, but to see them, share the floor for about 15 to 20 minutes and just have all these different thoughts in my mind of what can be, is going to be very, very, very interesting. My only thing was, how are you guys going to look defensively, right? How are you guys going to look when you're going up against top tier talent? Because obviously, like I said, there was no Russell Westbrook, there was no Bradley Beal. How are you guys going to stack up with that? And how is that partnership going to work? Obviously, they made some comments about getting 8 guard post ups a game, 4 in the first half, 4 in the second half. They were making jokes about that. But for me, it was great to see Kyrie out there, but and it's a preseason, right? You want to get your moves off. You want to put everyone on notice that this is what you guys have been missing, because the NBA is all about what have you done for me lately. But for me, moving forward, and it's kind of dumb to just critique one game, but with all the talent around Kyrie, and being in that Mike D'Antoni system, I would love for him to get his teammates involved, because he can get his bucket at any given point in time, him and KD. So I would get some easy lobs out there to DJ. I would run some plays to get Joe Harris engaged. Same with Karis LeVert as well too, because I saw a lot of times where they're so talented offensively that can kind of hinder him at times. The ball won't move, and you just have everyone standing there, kind of like that Houston situation as well too. But I love their depth. Um, I love their duo. I love their coaching staff. But like I said, those are like really the only concerns. But what are your thoughts on the Nets this year, and how far do you think they can go?
Um, I feel like they could be a top five in the East easily. You know, I feel like it's gonna take some gelling, some melling with them. But I again, top five, right around top five. We'll see what happens. I feel like the more established teams, I feel like maybe the Philly and stuff that have been playing with each other a little bit longer. They brought us some shooters that just go in the flow into the rhythm a little better, can be better. But I I don't see them falling below 4 or 5 in the East.
Yeah, I have to agree as well too. I feel like the leading scorer this year I mean, I'm taking into consideration the KD is probably going to be on a minute restriction, probably not going to play back to backs as well too. But knowing it's D'Antoni and D'Antoni's system, obviously it's Steve Nash, but D'Antoni, I heard is kind of running the show offensively. I think Kyrie is going to have one of his most efficient seasons, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's the leading scorer on this team as well. Because, like I said, there's so many weapons at his disposal. There's so many matchups to be exploited. So it's going to be a great year, in my opinion. So I think they're going to kind of be like the Miami Heat in a sense where they're trying to figure it out. They're still going to be winning, but they're going to really try to figure it out. And then once they're I'd say about 25, 30%, the way through the regular season, that's when they're just going to start to take off as well, too. So on paper, they look great on paper, especially in the playoffs where situational basketball, you have two guys that have been there. You have a couple players on that roster who have been playoff tested. So there's no doubt in my mind on paper where they don't get to the finals. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they're going to get there right now. Right now, as of right now, I still like the Miami Heat just because of their continuity that they have right now. But there's no doubt in my mind where they don't at least get to the conference finals.
Yeah, that's
So
a fact.
So we're gonna see. Moving on to the next topic, we finally got to see John Wall and we got to see DeMarcus Cousins back in action. And it was such a great experience to witness him back on the floor. I mean, obviously we already know with John Wall, he came off the Achilles injury, and then with Boogie Cousins, he had an Achilles injury as well too, and then also tore his ACL last season and wasn't able to be a part of that championship with the Lakers as well too. So to see these guys back at it, it's been amazing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So John Wall, what I've noticed about John Wall is like he I mean, honestly, it's only been 3 games, but he kind of looks better than what he was before because I feel like now being so far removed from the game, he was actually able to take a step back and see different ways he can add to his game. So it seems to me the game is slowed down. He kind of picks and chooses when to use his athleticism, and it's more so mental than anything as well too. And then also his jump shot looks much more improved, and he seems much more efficient as well too. So
yeah,
I think that being away from the game, that's going to help him in as far as longevity goes as well. And obviously, he's one of the highest IQ players as well too. So I think Houston's in good hands. I mean, obviously, you had to get rid of Russell Westbrook, and on the other end, you have DeMarcus Cousins. Man, I mean, he's been through so much. So just to see him on the floor. Is a beautiful thing to see as well too. And with Boogie, I mean, you kind of know what you're getting out of him, right? So now
yeah,
is can you stay healthy? Because that pick and pop game is going to be deadly
crazy.
between him and John Wall. So Boogie's jump shot
Exactly.
improved as well. He's bigger than most bigs in this era as well too, and he has a great inside out game. So if they stay healthy, it's going to be scary. And I love this new coach. You know what I'm saying? It's not Kevin McHale. It's not Mike D'Antoni. So these guys, what I've noticed the first 2 games before Harden came back, they're really, really moving the ball a lot. Like it's very seldom that you have blank moments in that offense as well too, and they keep the ball moving. They keep playing at a fast pace. So I really like the Rockets. Will they make the playoffs? I mean, that kind of really just depends on James Harden, right? Is James Harden going to be locked in? Is James Harden going to be traded? What happens with that as well too? But before we get into James Harden's segment, what are your thoughts from what you've seen with John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins?
Um, really just excited for John, man. Kind of a new outlook. He's out there in Houston. He used to call him Rose Bar Wall, you know, something like that. And yeah, yeah, it's just I'm really excited. Like that he's out there. He looks renewed, kind of like the second
rejuvenation of his career in a way. So I hope continues to stay healthy. He had a lot of time to rehab and rest because it's damn near been 2 years since he's actually played too, in a way, because he was coming off of that playoffs. He was injured, I believe, and then the Achilles happened. So he just didn't play a whole season, right? He was out for the whole season with Brad Bill last year. And it's a new situation, right? It's not Scott Brooks anymore. It's not the Wizards who, for all intents and purposes, we haven't seen them make a concerted effort to really try to win a championship, go over the top. They're one of those teams that you would say, all right, the market's pretty good, but it's not a powerhouse market. Is DC, we would think it would be like, yo, we should be able to get some players, but it's not the same. Now Houston, on the other hand, we've seen them make the moves in the past few years. Yes, their GM's gone, but rejuvenated, kind of with the shell of what they had, kind of uh, the hybrid style of basketball thing. You have John Wall at the helm, who's a ridiculous guard, one of the guards that is still, I say, definitely top 10, and you can make an argument to shorten the list and have him in a top 6, 7 scenario, possibly 5 if you want to really get into some of the details when he's very much healthy. So again, it's going to come down to his jump shooting. Boogie looks really good, flowing. Health is well for this team, and I hope they really, 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 really stay healthy because they could be a fun team to watch. Both of the teams that were involved in the trade could be a fun team to watch. I've been watching some of the Wizards inside the program practices, and I've been watching John Wall, seeing what he does. And James Harden is the wild factor. It looks like he's gonna keep trying to force his hand, even when he's trying to come out there and get some cardio, because dude looks big. But right now, yeah, right now, kudos to the Rockets, kudos to the health of their team, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if they can stick in and get into the playoff race.
All right, so I guess moving on from that, when still staying along the same lines with the Houston Rockets in general, James Harden actually pulled up, and he played Game 3 of the regular season, which was nice. We kind of knew he was going to come back because at the end of the day, no one wants to miss out on that pay, especially during the pandemic and whatnot as well too. So, he came back. Obviously, he played limited minutes, but you can tell he wasn't a part of training camp. Wasn't a part of any practices. Obviously, already know the protocols he had and all the extra stuff he was a part of as well too. Makes sense, but it's one of those things where I'm not really going to put too much stock into that game because that was his first time being with them as well too. So I don't want to, jump the gun and say, oh, they stopped moving the ball, this and this and that. He was just
that was a
really
workout for him, man.
Exactly what I was about to say. He's just trying to work back and get back into form, get back into rhythm. So I'm happy that he's back. It's one of those things where I kind of think of like a Kobe Bryant or like an MJ. There was points in their career where they were unsatisfied with what front office was doing. They felt like front office was taking a step back, and they kind of voiced their opinion and wanted to, be out. Obviously, social media is much more prominent than it was back in the day. So it really didn't travel and didn't really hold that much weight as it did in the past. So it's one of those things though where you can just tell from his interviews that he's locked in as a basketball player, but you can tell he still wants out. It's kind of like when you're in a relationship with someone and you know it's not going that well, right? You're comfortable with it. You know what to expect out of it, but in the grand scheme of things, you're keeping your options open. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where when it's all said and done, he's gonna leave. We just don't know when. So, and I was talking to Warren, the guy that controls all the social media. Shout out to Warren, intern. I was talking to him and I was like, yo, like, do you remember a couple years ago when Blake Griffin had signed that 5-year Supermax and then by trade deadline he got moved to Detroit? Like, you remember that shit? I wouldn't be surprised, man, if James Harden finds himself getting traded by trade deadline to a team, let's say like the Los Angeles Clippers, even though Paul George has got that max. I wouldn't be surprised the way it's structured now. They flip him because I think that would be what Houston is missing. But the thing is, it'll probably have to be a 3-team trade because the Clippers don't have any future first-round picks. But that's not a bad swap as well. But if Harden stays there, they're definitely a top 5, top 6 seed. If Harden isn't there, I'm assuming they're going to get valuable assets back.
Hmm.
I think they're fighting for that eighth seed right there. But
Of
what are your
course.
thoughts on James Harden return and whatnot and moving forward? I guess.
Only thing I could really think about was um, I've had guys that have like worked out for the Heat, I know, and they've been around the Heat, and a lot of teams, they do like the body mass index and the body fat index, and the Heat are sticklers about it. You can talk about the way they play. They want you to come in, they want you to be 2%, 3% body fat, and I was just thinking about how James Harden had to like get on that body fat radar, and he'd probably go off for like 20, 30, crazy percent body fat. But, that's here and there because James Harden is a beast. I was just thinking about stuff like that. But he's a beast. And he really just looks like one, he's been enjoying Houston and Vegas and whatever like that in the offseason. Not too concerned about his situation because there's been a lot of empty promises in a way. And two, you could just sum it up to their situation where there have been years where I always think about that time when Mono Ginobili blocked his shot. You know what I'm saying? And
Ooh.
you like we were like, all right, is he gonna rise to the challenge? And then boom, Mono Ginobili comes up with the craziest defensive play of his career, one of them, and just stops red hot James Harden, another lefty on lefty. So maybe he kind of anticipated it. But yeah, for real. But so maybe it's just time for like we see John Wall with a little bit of pep in his step. He looks healthy. He looks like he's excited to be in there. It's probably what James Harden's asking for too. You know, the thing is, we look at it in different lights. He's like, yo, I'm trying to go to a contender. James Harden's made his bag. He's, getting his money. He plays how he plays. That's not going to change. But now he's just like, yo, let me go and at least see if I can compete for a ring on a team that, for all intents and purposes, has been right under waterline. Not fully submerged above water, but above water, but kind of right submerged right at the tip of it. Um, and we've seen his counterparts via Kevin Durant when he came in. He went to a team that was a contender and got it off. Uh, Russell Westbrook has bounced around. That experiment didn't work, but at least he had to say, "Hey, I went to a different opportunity. I gave myself the chance in this other opportunity." He doesn't want the Rockets to run him into the ground, and maybe he doesn't see that them getting past the Lakers over there. He's saying, "I want to go to Brooklyn. I want to get." He could see himself getting past uh, the teams in the East a little bit more. He could see himself getting past the Lakers, maybe the Nuggets where they have to guard crazy, maybe the Clippers even. So he just wants a different scenario where he thinks he can give himself the best opportunity. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, players, definitely have the power. But like I said, they still got 2 years. He still got 2 years under contract there, so they can wait it out and see what
Mm-hmm.
assets that they can get back. But I feel like Houston's not in any rush anytime soon. So, I think
Facts.
James Harden. I think it's safe to say that he's going to be laced up for at least half the season. As a Rocket as well too. So I
Mm-hmm.
just hope him while he's there, he gives it his all and really tries to make it work with Boogie and with John Wall. That would be dope.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, when you really think about it, since James Harden has been there, like their GM slash owner has basically tried to do everything in their power to make it work.
Everything.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything. They tried to
Dwight
have big
Howard,
man. They got rid of big man.
Bosch,
Like all that good stuff.
Paul, Russell Westbrook. So they're trying, you know what I'm saying? But maybe James Harden just like, yeah, I just really can't win with this. And then sometimes you kind of have to think like, is it a me thing or is it a you thing? But I'm gonna
That's what I was
give
gonna
both
say. Quite
parties the benefit of the doubt, and I guess we're gonna
quite
see what
possibly
happens.
he wants to be in a situation where the blame's not going to fall back on him because at this point in his career, we're looking at it like, yo, again, it's what Kobe said. It's like, yo, you can't win in a system like that. So maybe he wants to get away from not the limelight because still going to be in the limelight, but it's going to be getting away from where he's purely the center block. Because even if Chris Paul came in, even Russell Westbrook came in, you had people like Dwight Howard, all them guys came in. James Harden is still the centerfold of that offense. And it's crazy that we're talking about like an all-star, this person that's like
Mm-hmm.
this, but he does all this stuff, but it's not equating to championships. And that's the crossroads at James Harden. That's why he's trying to, elevate and get to a new opportunity so he can put this in the past in his career, and he can win a ring if he can solidify himself. And we can talk about something else. So we'll see what happens.
Now, do you think with James Harden, he's achieved these accolades, and obviously he's going to go down as one of the best scorers of our generation.
Mhm.
Do you see him once he eventually gets moved to another team? Because let's be real, like in this day and age, to win a championship, you're going to have to basically damn near play with another superstar, right? Do you
Yeah.
see him adjusting his game at this point in his career when he's been so ball dominant? Like, do you see him playing off ball? I know he has a high enough IQ to do it, but obviously, like
Hmm.
it's different because he was in a certain system where it was predicated on his strengths. But do you see him changing his style of play for the greater good to win that championship? Because he already has an MVP. He's finished MVP, top 5 the last decade. He's got
Yeah.
to the conference finals, been all first team. All these things he's checked off his list, but the last thing that remains is the championship. So do you see that happening?
Um, if he's going to play with another superstar, yes, because I feel like that's the conversation you have to make within your mind when you say, "Hey, I want to get out of here and go to a contender." Yes. Um, do I see it happen if he doesn't get moved per se? I feel like we're always going to get James Harden, but it's like, what system can you develop that will accommodate that and still keep us in games? Because honestly, that more looks like a 6-man type role. So Lou Williams going off for 30 points, 40 points, whatever like that. That's what your energy guys do. But your first team has to be working in cohesion because at any given point down the stretch, you're going to need to have that swing man ready to shoot. You're going to need to have that superstar ready to go, that pick and roll, that offensive set, and you need people that are ready to execute, right? So, and it's just crazy to think about because when you look at it in like a micro kind of thing, like a micro experiment kind of thing, it's like, yo, this is not really going to work for our first team because you just boom, 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 shot, boom, 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 shot. The other guys are just running down, up and down, and playing defense.
Yeah.
It's really a second team philosophy to score like that because, like, hey, our starters need some rest. You got 10 minutes, go crazy. And I'm not making James Harden the 6th man of the year again, but it's like, how does that really work for us as a unit in the first team? Because at that point, why am I sending my starters up and down the court running sets and stuff? What's the point of that? Not saying that James Harden doesn't pass, but it's hard to look at and think we're going to win a championship like this when you look at teams like the Lakers that freaking KCP got it done one day, LeBron and AD got it done in tandem. Shoot, Kuz hit a shot. You look at what they're going to compete against, and that's not going to really work. So you have to accommodate that. He has to, in some ways, compromise and say, look, I'm gonna score 20, but if I can get, and he's a crazy guard. He's 6'5", 6'6". So it's like, if I can get my other teammates involved, then we're gonna be good. We're gonna be ready. Um, and I think he's a smart enough basketball player with the IQ to understand that. And maybe he, within D'Antoni's system, he wasn't able to showcase that part of his skill set yet. So maybe he's looking for a new opportunity to showcase that. And I think still in Houston right now, it could be a perfect opportunity for him to do that. Because you have other players that can boogie, no pun intended. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I love your take on that. James Harden, uh, you can do
I
it,
hope he
man.
stays for a
Just
little bit,
so
honestly.
yeah, I want to see what it looks like with him and John Wall, bro. I think aside from Chris Paul, obviously Russell Westbrook is great and all, but this is the closest you're gonna get to playing with a quote unquote pure point guard in a sense. So we'll
Yeah.
see how that works. And
John
like I
can
said,
pass that thing.
he can pass that thing, man. It's like a mini Bron out there. I don't want to call him Bron; he's himself. But when I think of a point, a pass first player in today's league, the standard is LeBron James. So, yeah. So the Warriors are back in action. They had a couple games so far against Denver, and then they also had another game, I believe, against Sacramento as well. And Steph Curry, man, one of those other players where he's been banged up the whole year. Obviously, they wanted to tank and all that good stuff as well. We already know about the Klay Thompson situation. Hopefully, you get back healthy soon, Klay. But Steph Curry, man, he got this different look in his eyes. Like, yo, y'all must have forgot about me.
We did.
And he's been playing lights out. And what I'm more so impressed about, I don't know if you got a chance to see the Denver Nuggets preseason game. He was looking like Drew Holiday out there
That
strapping Jamal Murray. I was like, yo, what the hell is going on?
really,
Like it
really.
was ridiculous. I'm gonna send you those highlights after this, but it was actually very, very ridiculous. So I'm curious to see what the future holds for the Warriors this year. Obviously, we haven't got to see Wiseman play yet. I don't know if he's battling with some form of injury. They're just trying to get him up to date so he can look like the number 2 pick that he is. But for you,
Yeah.
man, do you think this is the year where Steph Curry has the most pressure on him?
Mm, no, I would have said that it would have been the year last year, correct? So I would have said it would be more last year. But now he's coming from a deficit. Now the West is not their West anymore. Definitely not. Like it's been a leap and a bound and a jump, right? So we're gonna see him going against again the Jamal Murrays, the Spider Mitchells, and mum's the word, don't say his name, it's gonna be like, oh, we totally forgot about this guy. We saw all the stuff in the bubble and stuff like that, but this kid, not this kid, but Steph is the person to beat out there at what 6'3" and under, right? So we giving all these accolades. Oh, it's gonna be crazy, whatever like that. It's like, yo, he does this stuff effortlessly, bro, effortlessly. But I think the year before was more pressure, right? Because it would have been them coming out, them that season. But now we know the bar has been pushed forward. Now we know people have gotten better, this, that, and the dirt. So now you're just playing a little bit like, yo, I feel good. Let's see what I can do. Let's mix it up. Like my man's Clay just got hurt again. So everybody's like, yo, are the Warriors not even gonna make the playoffs this year? If they make the playoffs, bro, we have to submit Steph Curry as like, yo, one of the greatest guards we've seen this decade, of course. I mean, that's no question. And I'll say this decade is in like last decade, of course. One of the greatest guards that has ever played the game. But also, we have to put some respect on what he can do for a team himself, not just with, oh, he has to be able to stretch the floor, Clay's guarding for him and stuff like that. So this is really going to be the put the respect on Steph's name year, respect him for what he is, and he, is still a threat and a crazy threat. No matter, we forget about him because of his stature, because he just shoots threes. He's not super imposing. No, he changed the game of basketball. Just with his efficiency, with his range, with his shot making ability. So we're gonna see that again on full display. He's gonna have a number of shots, and the team's gonna flow through him. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I asked you if this is why he has the most pressure, because of him really not having another all-star with him anymore. We know, like we said, he's changed the game. He's
Mm-hmm.
won 2-time MVP, first unanimous MVP, has 3 championships already, multiple finals appearances as well. So I think he needs a new challenge in his career, in his career, and I think this is the perfect opportunity to see, hey, we tried our best to reconfigure the roster. We got the number 2 pick. Obviously, Clay is out. Show me what you can do. So I'm going to be interested to see, because a lot of people, like I said, we're prisoners of the moment, right? So a lot of people when you
Mm-hmm.
think of who's the top point guard right now, you think of like a Damian Lillard, or if you want to go with the Luka of the world. So I think
Mm-hmm.
Steph is going to come out hungry. I think that he's going to put the Warriors in a good
Mm-hmm.
position to make the playoffs. And right now, if I had a short list of, MVPs for this upcoming season, he's definitely up there as well.
Yeah, I believe that there could be a Oklahoma City esque team from this year, from last year, if that makes any sense. The team that's feisty, that stayed around, you're like, oh, they're a little bit depleted. They probably won't even make the playoffs. I feel like they could stick in and get in and just, play teams hard, barring their defense, right? And like you just mentioned, he's strapping up, whatever like that. So it's going to take the other guys and the rookies and James Wiseman, who they just drafted, to really, lock in on defense and figure it out, because they're going to get toasted. Some of those younger guys are going to get toasted by the veterans in the West. But I think if they can steal some games, we'll be looking like, yo, the Golden State are really, around and in the topic. So it'll be a good year to watch.
And I think, with the lack of shooting that they have, obviously they're going to get up a lot of corner threes. But I think we're going to see Steve Kerr, coaching actually get put on display this year as well, too, because of the lack of shooting that he has. But I honestly think where they're going to actually thrive at, just based on what it looks like with paper, with the size and athleticism with Oubre and Wiggins, you have a mobile big who can protect the rim in James Wiseman, and then you also have Draymond Green, who was Defensive Player of the Year before in the past, and always is a finalist runner. And then, like I said, Steph, obviously he's the most challenged defensively, but like I said, we're just if you're making it a little difficult on a high octane scorer from the guard position like a Jamal Murray who can beat you in a bevy of ways, I think they're gonna get a lot of their points in transition from their defense. So we'll see how it be, and we'll see how it's gonna be. And I definitely agree with you how they're gonna be a team like OKC where. Well, it's a little different with OKC, right? We didn't expect them to make the playoffs at all. And, I mean, we
Yeah.
know the West has gotten deeper, so we wouldn't be surprised if they're fighting just to get that 7th or 8th seed, right? But I agree with you in the sense of they're going to be a team that's steady all year. You're going to be like, oh, okay. And then
Yeah.
after some time, I say, oh, okay, this team actually is going to give another team a run for their money when it's all said and done. So I definitely agree with that. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see what Steph is going to be able to do. So they got a lot of nationally televised games this year, so we're going to see how that rocks as well too. And yeah, just from the point guard perspective, so much depth, like you named Dame. You got Luka, you got Kyrie, you got John Wall, you got Trae Young, you got so many guards in this league. So it's going to be interesting to see all these individual matchups with Steph Curry as well too. So I'm excited for that. One of the last things I want to talk about is seeing the 76ers in action, man. This brings me back to our interview with Robel and talking about Daryl Morey and whatnot, and how like I didn't really see the vision with what Daryl Morey was going to do because I was just so angry with an individual like him who just relies on analytics so much. But he actually did a damn good job, like we said before, adding all those shooters. So this kind of brings me back to Ben Simmons in the 76ers era, back when they won 50 games in the regular season. And they had a lot of shooting with Bellinelli, with Saric, with Covington, with Ilyasova, all these players as well. So obviously they've gotten better defensively, and they added more spacing to go with Embiid and to go with Ben Simmons. So I think this year, man, obviously the biggest the biggest thing that we focus on in life in general is what individuals can't do, and we don't tend to focus on what they can't do. So
What they
it
can do,
seems
yeah.
to me that Ben Simmons is going to be Ben Simmons. Will we see him shoot maybe at least the corner three, or at least try to get it respectable? But that's why you build around your superstar, because the things that they're weak in is what you're going to cover up. So they
Yeah.
added in more shooting, and we'll see how him and how Embiid can coexist. But based on what I saw, just against the Celtics, man, they're gonna look really good. And I think this is gonna be the year where if they're all healthy,
They
I
can
think
get it
this
done.
gives not Ben Simmons, this gives Joel Embiid his best shot at winning the MVP this year as well too, with all that space. But I
Interesting.
like them. I like them a lot. I actually like them more over the Celtics right now. But I'll put them at my top 4 in the East right now. But what are your thoughts on the Sixers?
They look good, man. The pace, they look like for the most part, like a complete basketball team. We always say,
Yeah.
yo, the guard heavy, yo, they're gonna play like this, but it's like they can get it on inside, outside. They got some shooters. They run the floor. Just the usual, like not usual, but the balance of a complete team that has actual 1 through 5 positions. You know what I'm saying? They have the point guards to the small forwards to the shooting guards to the centers. So, and it's a little bit refreshing because when was the last time we've seen like a complete team like this? It's been a while.
It's
I can't
weird,
even
right?
say like, yeah, I can't even say the Lakers because their 2 big men play like a 2 and a 3 guard. LeBron plays like a 1. The 2 centers were Dwight and JaVale McGee. And then everybody else kind of just got in where they fit in, as in like, utility players, and people that were 6'3" and under weren't really playing the point guard role, and vice versa. Best point guard on that team were LeBron and Rondo, and Rondo was the only 6'1" player that was playing point guard. But this team looks very interesting. They're attacking on all cylinders. I see inside drives. That's Dwight Howard, isn't it? Jeez, is that Dwight Howard? Wow.
Yeah.
I told bro, what? So they really put themselves in a good position, man. Dwight being a defensive player he is, Doc Rivers, his guidance, again, talk about a new place, somewhere he can like go and get a little bit of refreshing. This is a team where he can get it done with, man. You can coach the X's and O's. Ben Simmons is taking up a lot of freaking space. Like, not Ben Simmons, but Joel Embiid is taking up a lot of freaking space, demanding. Ben Simmons is feeding everybody because he has plenty of weapons to feed. They're going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out coming down the stretch. So, yeah, make sure
That's
everybody's
what I'm
healthy.
saying. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like with the East just getting so much better. Like, even though, like we said earlier on paper, like if KD and Kyrie are healthy, like it's not gonna be easy for them just to
Yeah,
get, to the finals. Like we said,
yeah,
like we have these revamped teams, and everyone's hungry, man. It's literally a gauntlet match out there. So we really gonna see what happens. But yeah, I love the Sixers this year. If there's any year to invest stock into them, it's definitely this year. So we'll see what happens with that. Almost done here. Man, what are your thoughts on Jello getting released, man? LeVar Ball wasn't too happy, man.
yeah.
He basically said that this was raggedy as hell. The people in Detroit are great. I love the fans, but the franchise over there is raggedy as hell. They don't know a good player. I was giving him a lottery pick for free. He has the skills to play and the notoriety to bring everybody to the game. How do you throw that out the window? They're gonna learn the hard way. My boys are gonna end up together playing somewhere. Jello can
So,
shoot the lights out. That was raggedy with what they did, but hey, they're gonna learn the hard way. So obviously, it was pretty groundbreaking, seeing a father, yet alone an African American father,
yeah,
speak his mind, be the true visionary that he is, and tell us when we thought he was crazy that all three of his boys were going to be in the NBA, which they
yeah,
technically were. But
yeah.
do you see Jello eventually, coming back to the league?
Uh, I feel like, and I don't really know what his game looks like and stuff like that. I've seen him, spray the 3 ball, but this doesn't work out. So, maybe get in with a G League team, fit in where you get in, and hustle like that for a few years. And, that's still the NBA. As far as LeVar's comments, like, he has to say that, like he has to say that. Like, that's who we know and believe him and have understood him to be. But I'm not mad at him for saying, he can do this, his son can do this, and I can do it. You're not gonna go there and undersell your blood. Hopefully, you're not gonna go there and do that. His approach is a little bit, it's not politically correct, it's not PC, but at this point, we know him for what he is: a master marketer, a manifester, somebody that speaks things into existence on a regular basis, and somebody that works hard in supporting his sons. Whether it be the most efficient way or not in the day and age, but he's gotten them this far with him just being there. And this is a shout out to fathers, shout out to Black fathers, for that matter. Um, you know, right or wrong, the support's there, and his sons are in the league. They've gone, leaps and bounds. I think Lonzo steady. Uh, Lamelo just got in, and then he's still finding his way if he keeps wanting to pursue basketball. But hands down, is dope. I think Jello could probably bounce around the G League for a little bit, or even like, he was overseas playing, right? Jello was overseas playing, so he could go do that in a different country. But I think Hooper's gonna hoop, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. And then in a league where we're so fixated on spacing the floor, he's
Yeah,
eventually going to get back in the league as well too. So
Yeah.
It may not be
If you can
overnight.
shoot, yes.
He can shoot. Shooting
Yeah.
is definitely needed in the league. So I think he's going to come back, but like you said, it's uncertain of when he's
How and
going to
when.
come back. But I think when we get back to some form of normalcy, I can definitely see him on a roster as well too. So, and I also think not Philadelphia, Detroit only had a X amount of roster spots available,
Yeah.
so they had no choice but to get rid of him as well too. So
Yeah.
that is what it is. So two more things. One, who have you been most impressed by rookie wise? Thus far in the preseason.
I really enjoyed watching Melo, like little Melo. Watch some Anthony Edwards highlights. They were all right. So I'll have to go with Melo. Just how he's affecting the team. He's not even trying to score the ball just yet, but he looks very fluid out there. He's making that team look a lot better. I'm gonna have to catch up on some Obi Toppin highlights because apparently he's been doing pretty well too. But for me, it has to be Melo. I think he's came in. He's gel well. He looks like his IQ was very much up there with the rest of the people, and that just looks like to me somebody that can at 6'7", 6'8", carve a lane out in the NBA for himself for a while. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have very, very high expectations for LaMelo. I think it's a foregone conclusion that he's definitely going to be better than his brother. But like you said, he played
Mm-hmm.
overseas. And with him, he already has a frame. He has the IQ, right? He's a natural playmaker. So once he gets his weight up and just gets to learn what it means to be a professional at this stage, and tweaks his shot a little bit, because you already know you can just tell he's more
Yeah,
aggressive than his brother is. But once he figures out these basic tools and builds upon that, I can see him like not to an Luka an extent, but I can see him where he's constantly flirting around with the triple double. So I can see in a peak year for him,
yeah,
he's averaging what, like 22, 10, and 6. So those are my expectations for him. But to answer the
easy,
question that I
easy.
that I asked was, I probably have to agree with you. I'm very impressed with him. And I'm also very impressed with Cole Anthony from Orlando as well too. He's one of those guys where I wouldn't be surprised if we started the draft over. He would be a higher pick. To be real with you, I think he's going to definitely get that starting spot eventually in Orlando. And man, if Orlando
Hmm.
just wasn't such a franchise, man, I'd be like, yo, is there any way we can get him to the Clippers, please? That's the point guard that we need. But yeah, those will probably be the two people that I'm very happy with. But like you said, there's still some players. Obviously, Wiseman hasn't played yet. I really haven't took a chance to see what Anthony Edwards is about. I saw a little bit of Obi Toppin with the
Yeah.
Knicks as well, but there's so many players, from this draft class that I would love to see as
How do you
well
say it?
too.
Denny?
Yeah, Denny's
Yeah,
tough. I saw
he
him
looks
play against
good.
the Nets.
From he looks
He,
very good.
yeah, I definitely see him being the starting two guard that has the playmaking capabilities to bring the ball up as well too.
How
So
tall is he?
I think he's 6'7", 6'8".
That's what they really wanted Otto Porter to be.
Otto
Quite
Porter,
honestly,
man.
for real,
Yeah.
for real.
So I like him a lot. Yeah. So honestly, those are probably the three people. So Denny, um, LaMelo, and Cole Anthony were probably the three
Okay.
people that I'm the most impressed by as well too. And the last time I want to talk about is, it seems like the rich just keep getting richer. So when I say this, man, the Clippers went up against the
THT.
Lakers and got smacked, and THT went for 33, 10, and 4, played 41 minutes. Literally, offensive package is freaking crazy, bro.
Crazy.
Do you see him being a rotation piece this upcoming season?
I feel like in the deep dog days of the season, yes, but I feel like that they have to honor the players they have wrapped up in money. I was having this conversation the other day, and I could see it
Mm,
happening. I just feel like they have to honor the players they already have wrapped up in money, and it's weird, right? Because you have somebody like that, but I don't feel like we're gonna see him really be let loose until like a deep dog days of the season, possibly late, right before the playoffs type joint. And that's tough to say. That's tough to say. So this could be a segment where we look back at and it's like, Trey, you really were terribly wrong about that because he's scoring 30. How can you not play him? He's scoring 30. But um, I don't think they let him off the leash just yet because again they're getting it moved around, whatever like that. I could see if somebody like a KCP or somebody like that had an injury, then boom, he's moved up. He's making his bag. But then after that, you're not going to retain him after the season. He's going to go get his bag where elsewhere because somebody's going to sign him. But I, I think he plays well. I think we're going to see his greatness hopefully. But I just don't think that's going to happen like we think it's going to happen just because he scored 30 points the other night. But he looked very, very good, and I hope we get to see a lot more of him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. So there's definitely you know, a diamond that's in the rough right there. So like you said, he can definitely be a rotation piece, but like you said, with the way the salary's set up and the championship run that they just came from,
Hmm.
it wouldn't
Hmm.
be it wouldn't be shocking at all if he doesn't play until there's like a knock on wood, a major catastrophic injury or something like that, or just
Yeah.
something as minor that has a key rotation piece out for a little bit as well too. But what he
Yeah.
displayed against top tier talent like a Kawhi PG, and just that Clippers team as well was definitely put the league on notice a little bit as well too. So that's gonna be interesting, man.
Okay.
But that pretty much wraps up, the conversations that we have for episode 98. Any closing remarks?
Happy holidays to the viewers, man. Thanks for rocking with us. Um, we should see you back, but if not before the new year, man, everybody be safe. Everybody, um, goals out the window. Just hopefully taking some time for yourself, for your family. Shout out to Rise RVA. Shout out to just everybody that's saying, "Hey, I've tuned into the podcast," or "Hey, I'm just getting out into it. You guys sound good." Shout out for feedback, and you know, one level at a time. But we're here. Happy that you're here. So that's that on that. It's good with you.
I mean, pretty much, man. Just excited to get back to the East Coast. Excited to pack. Not looking forward to the cold weather, but it is what it is. You can't
Yeah,
you
it's cold
can't
over here.
have you can't have everything. But yeah, I'm just
It's a
excited to
brick.
be around people that help pave the way for me to be where I am now. And just spending time with your family and friends is always something that you know that's my why, right? So I'm just
Yeah,
excited
yeah,
for that. And like you said, it's closing on 2020. Whether we realize or not, it's affected us in all ways. So I'm excited to, have a good rollout plan for 2021, and I expect nothing but, it getting better from here. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That was
orange
episode
waves.
98 of the Caesars Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media and platforms at the Caesars Show, at Sir Caesars, at Trade Day XXIV. And on that note, we out.
Peace.